Hi, today I'm going to be doing a video on stigma that is faced for people with borderline personality disorder. So first off, I'm just gonna name off a few things that causes stigma. So first off, there is fear. So some fear that and believe that people that are mentally ill are a danger to the people around them and are prone to violent episodes. It can happen without any mental illnesses, and usually it's people who are not mentally ill who are violent. So another thing is that they believe that people with mental illnesses are irresponsible, that we are self-indulgent and lazy, and that we could get over everything if we would just stop wallowing. Unfortunately, a mental illness is chronic and can be treated, but it's not like a cold. It's not something that, you can get over if you just take some Tylenols or Advils, right? Um, the next thing is helplessness. So, others believe that people who have mental health issues are like children and require the same assistance as toddlers because we are incapable of making our own choices. When in reality, all we're looking for is love, acceptance, and guidance. We're not looking for someone to hold our hand through life. And help us with every single thing. When we do want someone to hold our hand, but not in the same sense. There's also ignorance. So some people lack the knowledge and the passion to learn. They refuse to learn about things and get knowledgeable about subjects. Another one is empathy. So some people who cannot empathize will never try or never even bother to learn about what others are going through. And it's a big step. It's a big thing when you're dealing with mental illnesses because we do need someone that has, or not necessarily has, but tries to be empathetic. So I'm just going to read off a few of the things that I've heard, and I'm going to talk about those little stigma sentences. So the first off is individuals with this disorder inflict pain on themselves to manipulate others. I've talked about this before. We don't inflict pain on ourselves to manipulate others. We do it because we have so much pain inside. We don't do it to keep people in our lives. But again, like I mentioned before, these stigmas entirely depend on the person. Like for me, like if I were to cause myself pain after, let's say, a breakup, that person would not know and will never know. It's a complete personal matter for me, and I don't want to be that person that's like, oh well, if you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself, because that is manipulative. But some people that I've came across do that without any mental illnesses. So it's not necessarily just the mental illnesses that makes a person like that. So another one is those with BPD do not respond to treatment. And based on research, 80% of BPD sufferers do get better with treatment. There is still some impairment, there are still some symptoms there, but DBT has been shown to be phenomenal for people with borderline. Um, I've also heard a lot that people with BPD usually refuse treatment, refuse to get help, when in reality we hate how we feel on a daily basis, that we do want to get help. We are tired of feeling like this. We do want to feel better. We do want better relationships. So it's just crazy. Another one is, it is hard to be in a relationship with someone who has BPD. It can be if you do follow the stigma. If you are fearful, if you think people with mental illnesses are helpless, if you don't have empathy, if you are ignorant, then yes, it will be hard to be with someone who has mental illnesses. It's it's not rocket science. We are not. I've heard a lot of people with borderline say we're hard to love. We're hard on ourselves. Um, we have so many good qualities, and when we are in a good mood, we are so passionate. We are passionate no matter what, but when we're happy, we're really, really, really happy. Um, it can be hard, but what relationship isn't hard, right? Um, I haven't ever heard of someone being in an easy relationship. Every relationship has their hurdle, right? Every people in relationship fight. So another one is, people with BPD are likely to be violent. Um, Coming from me, I've never been in a fight. I've never hit someone. I am against violence. I do not condone it. That's me personally, but I've came across a lot of people with BPD who are the same way as I am. They don't condone violence. Um, Anybody can be violent, and I've seen a lot of people who weren't mentally ill start random fights. Like, it depends on the personality of the person itself. But that's, I don't understand it. um, Another one is, people with BPD are nymphos. So one of the symptoms of the impulsivity and the reckless behavior is unsafe and frequent sex. Um, we do that to fill a void. We're not necessarily nymphos. It's like people with sexual addictions have sex to fill that void, and it's usually caused by trauma. It's There's two different sides of sexual abuse. There's either you completely abstain from sex and you don't want to have sex anymore, or you are the complete opposite, where you want to regain that control, that you have sex with many people as many times as you can. Um, it's really a control thing. So BPD is a personality flaw. I don't see it as a flaw. I see it as, it's something positive if you look at it, because when everything is good for us, everything is 10 times as awesome and as better as what a normal person would feel. So someone who's mentally ill cannot feel the euphoria we feel. So there is some positive things about borderline. We are passionate. We are the most loyal people you'll ever meet, because we don't want to be abandoned. So why would we cheat, right? Another one is, people with personality disorders are difficult. Isn't everyone difficult at some point or another? Uh, we do have some things that is difficult to deal with, but it depends how the person handles it, right? I'm sure some can be difficult. I know I can be difficult sometimes, but everyone can be and always will be. Alright, so the term borderline personality is often wrongly used to describe violent, harsh, dangerous, or crazy individuals in media or news reports. When I saw that, I was wondering if they mistook it as someone who was dealing with antisocial personality disorders because they are known to be violent. We are known to, well, some are known to have the borderline rage, but it's not appropriate to name someone or label someone with a mental illness as crazy. It's derogatory and it hurts. So another thing I've noticed is I am cut short by remarks that invalidate my experiences and the reality of my symptoms. A lot of people don't understand that when I am triggered, it's hard to regain control. A lot of people think that, well, my abandonment issues and my rejection sensitivity is something that I can get over. It's not. It's as bad as any physical chronic illness or any exceptionalities. You don't, they can't get over it. They can't just grow a pair of new legs, or they can't just take something to get over autism. And it's the same thing for us. You need to validate everyone's feelings and everyone's symptoms and be empathetic. So another thing that I've noticed is that some reframe severe mental issues and they blame it on our weaknesses, our willpower, and our inability to handle what other people can. The truth is, no, we can't handle what everybody goes through because we feel things, if not 10 times to 100 times more powerful than what a normal human being feels, right? So I've seen a lot of people also treat it as a chronic physical illness, and just say like, oh, you can get over it. Like, you can't. It's not a cold. It's not being tired. It's not being ill. It is a disorder. It's like any other disorders, right? If if there's so much stigma on a disorder or an illness, we will not seek out treatment. No one who is mentally ill will seek out treatment if all they're being said to is just criticizing and derogatory. The negative views against BPD will not hold will hold us back. It will not only hold us back from seeking services and treatment, but it will trigger our symptoms. It can heighten our self-hatred and fuel the painful thoughts and paranoia that we have on a daily basis. Because we want to be validated and heard, just like anybody on this planet. So despite the severity of borderline personalities, we are blacklisted. There are many therapists that flat out refuse to treat people with BPD because we are known to be manipulative and mentally draining. Being a psychologist is mentally draining, period. You are dealing with people who are having crisis every day or every month or every week, depending on the person. It is supposed to be draining. But again, manipulation, it can be seen in anxiety. I've seen people fake panic attacks to get attention. And you hear all the time on the news of women who claim false accusations against guys of being raped, and it's the same thing. You see it everywhere, and it's not just necessarily borderline. And lastly, rejection, demonization, and pathologization can unite the BPD symptoms and worsen everything from relationship instability to social isolation to our own self-identity. At the same time, social stigma can form into self-stigma, which creates how people with borderline understand themselves and their place in the world. So, stigma is the worst. It creates self-stigma, and it's not just for borderline. It goes for everyone. LGBT, um, transgender, mental illnesses. It goes for everything. If you create stigma, you have to think of the other person that is in those shoes. And that is why I'm advocating for myself. And my other fellow BPD sufferers. So that is it for today's video. So I will most likely be posting more. I'm gonna brainstorm, so it might take a while for me to post other things. But I want to talk about treatment and self-care, etc., etc. So please stay tuned. And this is it for today. So thank you.